The Beyond Light Collector's Edition has been arriving for people ahead of the release on November the 10th, and contained within is a very interesting piece of lore in a form of a journal from the perspective of Clovis Bray. This story I'm sure we're going to hear much more about in Beyond Light, and has links to the birth of the Exos, a mysterious Vex gate on Europa, and another mystery of the darkness. And don't forget, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content, and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Much of the narrative previews we've seen so far for Beyond Light have been focusing on Europa, Eramis and the Fallen. However, as always, there's something else going on with the narrative that we should all be paying attention to, and a lot of the story snippets have been unveiled in the physical lore book released with Beyond Light. We've seen Eramis wielding the darkness in the story trailers, but this could be sleight of hand by Bungie, with another narrative arc presenting itself related to Clovis Bray and his family. And there are some potential spoilers in here for Beyond Light, so do consider this your spoiler warning. The lore book contained within the Collector's Edition is a journal, written in a combination of journal notes from Clovis Bray himself and various AI notes too. And this has been transcribed by the good people over at Raid Secrets, and you can read the whole thing for yourself, and I'll put a link down below in the description. I recommend you do read it, as it's a great story and gives you some good context into what we're likely to encounter in Beyond Light. So Clovis Bray was a Golden Age company that focused on research and technological advancements. The man behind the mega corporation Clovis Bray Sr. is featured in this journal and details his journey to Europa to find immortality, and also unveils the secrets of the origins of the Exos, as well as his experience in communicating with the darkness and his surprise involvement with the Vex. Clovis Bray may have been a brilliant man, but he was also an egotistical, sexist and evidently madman too. This is a guy with a godlike complex who not only wants to find the secret to immortality, but wants to seed the entire future of the human species. There are some relations to Clovis Bray in the game right now. So Anna Bray, the adopted granddaughter of Clovis Bray, who's been our vendor on Mars since the Warmind expansion, and Elsie Bray, Anna's sister. She's going to be a featured character in the upcoming expansion Beyond Light, known as the Exo Stranger. There's also Clovis Bray II, Elsie's father, and Clovis seems paranoid about his children in the journal in case they decide to alter his legacy. It turns out that Clovis Bray, he's a madman, but he's also a very sick man. He's got a degenerative disease which he knew would eventually kill him, and it's in his family gene pool. Clovis had gone to Europa to search for the secret of immortality, and he started the Exo project, the transfer of a human mind into an Exo body. But these new combined human-machine beings would always end up going mad and ripping themselves apart. Clovis even tested this technology on his own family, his own son, Clovis II. Clovis Bray's ultimate goal was to transfer his own consciousness into an Exo body, but the transfer process had to be perfect. There was only one shot. The transfer was enough to kill someone if the process wasn't perfect. Clovis killed his own son in these initial experiments, sacrificing his own flesh and blood before his own mind. Clovis was at a loss. He couldn't make it work. There was a missing ingredient. During his research, he had a near-death experience and he died for a few minutes, only to be revived and saved by his AI. And here, let's check out a snippet from Clovis's journal. While I was dead, I had a dream. I was in a working Exo body. Everything so vivid. No need for waxy eardrums or jelly eyeballs. Like seeing for the first time, after a life of cataracts. I think I was immortal. The only unpleasant aspect of the experience was my amnesia. I couldn't recall my own name. I saw someone walking past me. I think it must have been Anastasia. And not only did I fail to recognise her, but it never even occurred to me that I should. When I awoke, I thought I must have had a near-death vision, so I checked my nerve logs. Every last spark in my brain is recorded, and nothing in the cerebral panic can account for my dream. The mind is the brain. It is impossible to have a vision without correlated neuroactivity, yet I did. It's wonderful. This is why I came here. Unmapped secrets, impossible dreams. A chance to pass by the infinite and escape the tyranny of casual closure. I wholeheartedly believe that this dream was a message from Clarity, a promise of success. It appears as if Clovis refers to Clarity much like we refer to the darkness. Clovis encountered what he terms Clarity in the lunar mission K1. He believed that Clarity could be the missing ingredient and the key to immortality that he was looking for. After his near-death experience, he messaged both his granddaughters, and here is the message to Elsie Bray. You know that you have your father's disease, inherited from the same genes I so rashly engineered. You have the Clovis curse. There's no way to know exactly when it will strike, but once it does, I'm sure you've charted out exactly how it's going to progress. Within 2 years, you'll be entirely unable to sleep. Dementia and wasting will follow. You'll be dead by then, but the husk you leave behind will continue to live, sustained by machines, unable to even dream of a time when it was Elizabeth Bray. Come to me. I'm dying too. Let us save each other. And Clovis Bray also speaks in his journal about communicating with Clarity itself. It whispers to me. I've been communicating with it, just as I did the K1 artifact. I'm in communication with an intelligence so far beyond our own that it can manipulate us like stones on a go board. In these communications, it appears to be pointing Clovis Bray in the right direction. Clovis believes he's been given an invite to build a gate. This is the reason why I had the visions and paranoia at the K1 site. He believes he was receiving a message, but he didn't know it at the time. Rather than send a ship, it's much more efficient to use a gate. Clovis doesn't believe that a gate should be in the form or the product of Clarity, and he's turned towards the Vex. Vex are known in the Destiny universe to have built portals to travel across space and time, and Clovis would have a Vex build a gate for him so he can fully understand the message from Clarity. Meanwhile, Elsie Bray reluctantly agrees to come to Europa to see her grandfather. In the meantime, Clovis has built his Vex gate, and is this the gate that we've seen in the trailer for Beyond Light? Clovis, Elsie and some scientists step through the gate to see where it leads. The probe imagery did not prepare us. A curtain of blue-violet fire filled an entire half of the sky, pebbled with granules, seething with promontories and flares. We stood beneath a blue hypergiant, titan of suns, looming over all. It should have killed my human-bodied companions instantly. With peak radiance in the far ultraviolet, it would cook flesh. But the probe said it was, impossibly, safe for life. Our physicist identified a lensing effect, magnifying the star's optical size and redshifting its radiation. It was as if the whole behemoth was wrapped in some kind of skin. And it appears here if Clarity, or the darkness, had led Clovis to the Vex homeworld, where they'd managed to sustain a blue hypergiant star with a series of lenses. Clovis instructed his team to collect specimens from the distant world, and this led to the study of Vex fluid in relation to finishing the Exo project. And Clovis goes on in his journal, I note that Vex melt, while computationally powerful, seems to avoid semiosis. That is, it prefers to mimic the actual dynamics of phenomena rather than assigning a symbol. Rather than encoding symbols, they generate self-sustaining and self-correcting patterns which, like the suspension of a bridge flexing under strain, can accept destructive input and produce repertory output. And is this transubstantiation, that migration to another substrate, not what I seek here on Europa? Perhaps Clarity has been very generous indeed. So it turns out that the Vex fluid was exactly the thing that he'd been looking for. When combined with the elements of Clarity, or darkness, the fluid would allow the safe transfer of human consciousness into the Exo casing. This was the secret he was looking for all along, and would allow him to finish his Exo project. Clovis writes in his journal, Eureka! The Vex radiolarian fluid is obviously too virulent for use in exomines, but if exposed to Clarity, the Vex pattern breaks down, and the fluid takes on some of the properties of Clarity itself, namely its reductive effect. Introducing a tiny aqualot of this refined Clarity into an exomind solves the loop billboard crash cycle, as far as I can tell, permanently. The combination of Vex fluid and Clarity is the key to cybernetic immortality. And this is the culmination of a life's work and a clear path to immortality for Clovis Bray. And finally, Clovis writes to his grandchildren to inform them of his success. I know that I have been a cruel and domineering grandfather. You and your sisters have speculated that I intentionally sabotaged your father's genome so he would never outlive me without my help. That doesn't bother me. Actually, I wish I thought of it myself. To force my own beloved protege to either achieve synthetic immortality or die in agony, now that would be a commitment to greatness. And I owe you the salvation I couldn't give your father. Please consider making a terminal scan and decanting your mind into a mortal exobody. I myself plan to do it soon. So Clovis found the answers he was looking for on Europa. In the combination of ingredients, he calls it the Deepstone Crypt, this birthplace of the Exos, where the Vex fluid and the darkness are combined to successfully transfer human minds into exobodies. And we're likely to find out more as Beyond Light unveils its story, but this tale of Clovis Bray and his mad quest to find immortality is one of the best I've seen in Destiny. I'm interested to find out more about the Vex Gate and its potential homeworld with a huge blue giant star. I want to explore the deep below the ice on Europa and discover the secrets that Clovis left behind. Or is he still there, sustaining himself in the Deepstone Crypt, waiting for us to find him? Only time will tell. And just before we go today, I wanted to let you know about some merch I've launched. There's a bunch of t-shirts, hoodies, socks, stickers and masks available, and there's a custom pixel art design logo for This Week in Video Games, plus a glitched out version too. All are available in a range of colours and sizes, and if you enjoy This Week in Video Games content and want to support the channel, then do consider buying some of the merch. Links to the store are down below, but now let's get back to the video. Well, let me know what you think of the story of Clovis Bray and the lore in the Collector's Edition. And that is it for this look at Clovis Bray and the search for immortality on Europa. And thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out these other videos on the channel. Thanks again, I'll see you in the next video.